our mental well-being, all of it is all connected. And so we may be grieving several things, just the time of the year, the season. Some people prefer summer over winter in the dark, colder, wet months. Some people may be grieving loss of a loved one, the memories, the holidays can bring that up. There are so many things that we could be grieving, relationships, distance from family and friends during this time of the year. So we just wanted to share, continue to share with you all on our journey of hoping, healing, and the mission. So again, we appreciate you all for taking time. We know that some people are preparing meals for tomorrow. Some people are traveling. So we just want to welcome you all. And I want to welcome our special guest all the way from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I had the pleasure of meeting Miss Sharika Barrientes. I hope I'm pronouncing the last name correctly. But I had the pleasure of meeting her over the summer when I was visiting my daughter. They both work in the same field as mental health as well, and she'll tell you a little bit more about that, or she may share that. But I just wanted to share with you that Sharika has dedicated over 25 years of working closely with her community, supporting young people, teens, and families in a meaningful and impactful way. Her extensive experience is deep and deep connections within the community have inspired her to create stories that bring comfort, healing, and hope to those who need it most. She's an author, and that's how I met her on the way from an event. And she gifted me some books, a children's book on grief. And I was very intrigued, and that's how we connected. And I promised her, I said, "You're definitely going to be on Hope and Healing." So here she is today. And her plan is to create books for all ages and all developmental levels. So she can tell you more about the publications she's always already published and the ones that she's currently working on. And so without further ado, I just want to welcome our guest for the remainder of the hour, Sharika Barrientos, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you so very much, Miss Angela, for inviting me. Najuma, am I saying that correct? Najuma?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
Pastor
all right,
Najuma.
Miss Najuma. Okay, thank you so much, Pastor Najuma, for having me up. I appreciate everyone that's here today. Um, I just kind of want to first start by congratulating everyone that is here today, including myself, for making it this far. No matter what it is that we have endured and gone through and experienced in life, we rise to make it another day. And so each day that we rise up and we can look outside and we can see the sun, the trees, whether the sun's hidden behind the clouds, we see it, we know it's there. It's another opportunity to give it another shot. So I just want to encourage everybody conversation to keep going. I know it gets rough sometimes, but we're gonna make it, okay? So first, grief and loss, especially during the holiday seasons, or let's not say holidays, just Christmas, just Thanksgiving, but Valentine's Day, days when you maybe had a partner, um, just particular birthdays, and you feel that loss of a person, place, or thing. It's not always death. Sometimes it's just a loss of a thing. And allowing yourself to feel is okay. Since I was a child, feeling, crying, showing emotions, I might cry today. I'm just telling y'all, crying has always been looked at like a bad thing or a negative thing. Or if you're showing too much emotions, something wrong with you. Okay. I'm here to tell you, I'm a crier with my, because the older I get, these emotions, they're just what they are. And I sit and be where they are, and that's okay. So it's okay to feel, it's okay to cry, it's okay to call on someone if you need somebody to talk to, somebody trusted now, somebody with what you need, that's okay. So during this season, holidays are heavy. Some people have lost their loved ones. There may not be anybody checking for first thing that I want to say is someone that is grieving or has just experienced a loss, has experienced a loss before, call them, check on them, say, hey, how you doing? You need a plate. Just be kind of mindful of others. When we think about, I'm also in the field of in the licensed field, therapy field. And, sometimes people are not reaching out. Sometimes people are not saying anything. Sometimes people are at the most depressive state that they've ever been in their lives. And that phone call may make a difference. Okay. Suicidal ideation 988 is the if you are experiencing and you need someone to talk to, reach out and talk to someone. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means you might need to talk to somebody. Maybe you need some medication management to help you along the journey. Again, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just may mean there's a chemical imbalance. Maybe it's generational. I have generational mental health in my own family. Book 4, which I'm finishing up in a couple of days, we'll discuss that for us adults because we need help in that way. So I want to kind of do a split because I know time and things. So I'm going to talk about the books, but also talk about why I created the books. So the first book, and I'm just going to kind of show them to you as I go along. These are children's books. I have 3 children's books that are published now. So this is the first book, Charlie's Different World, A Story of Grief and Loss. I see you, Miss Angela. A story of grief and loss, okay? And it's so crazy to see myself on the back of the book because I have a history in childcare. And with a history in childcare, I started in childcare in 1999, okay? And to sit and read with other people's children, other books, and now I can sit and read my own book with my own name. God is big. I just want to say God is big. He's bigger than what you're thinking. Maybe thoughts that you don't think they're going to happen. 2 days ago, I picked up a piano, Miss Angela. Everyone here, I picked up a free piano. Let me say that again. I've always wanted a piano my whole life. 2 days ago, I picked up a free piano, and it's right now in the back room over here. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your hopes. Don't give up because I'm telling you to sit here with this book in my hand, it's really a miracle. Okay. So, first thing, I met a young lady about maybe 5 years ago. She was about 10 or 11 years old. And I was working at a community school. It had ages like kindergarten to 12, 13 years old. Okay, so it was a mixed school with mixed ages. And all the classrooms were in the same building. So you could hear that classroom way over there. It was that type of setup. Well, as I made my rounds and made my rounds around the room, talking to the children, talking to the adults, I ran across a young lady, was kind of sitting off to herself. And so as I approach and do what I do and go in and start to talk to her, she does not feel like she belongs. She can't talk to, and I just have to be honest because we're on this platform. The school had a lot of people that were Christian based. I'll say it that way. And she felt different. She didn't feel like she belonged. She liked stones and stars and moons. And that was what she shared with me. So after I left that position, it stayed with me. Now, also, I'm a new grandma. My grandson is 1 year old. He'll be 2 in March. And maybe these things had to culminate, turning 50 years old. All these things had to kind of work together to get me here today. But this young lady, I wanted to write a story to help. So she's 10 and 11 years old. That's too late. That's too late to talk about grief and loss. We don't talk about grief and loss in our families. We are not addressing it until we're meeting at the funeral for that day. And then everybody splits and goes about their merry way. And we never talk about it again. I want to change that narrative because we all got a day. Okay. Little history about me. When I was a teen, I can't remember if it was Reagan. I have to go back. But when I was a teen, there was a lot of discussion of war in Iraq, wars in all these different Bush. It was Bush. Thank you, Bush. there was talks of atomic bombs. There was a lot of those kind of talks when I was a small child. And book 4, you're going to understand my history and kind of connect these things together. So I was dreaming about death as a kid, a lot, not a little, a lot. I was afraid of death as a young person, fearful, scared, afraid. Okay. I used to dream and have a recurring dream consistently. It was about my father, actually, of him dying repeatedly. And I could wake up from the dream, go back to sleep, and start right back over in that same moment. I mean, it would just pick back up. And so my experience with death, not to say it's easier, but I've been dealing with it emotionally for a long time. So when I thought about the book, I said, you're going to have something that is for younger children so that we can catch kids before they hit the preteen teenage and can't manage their feelings and emotions, and they choose to do something else not so great, opposed to just crying or opposed to just talking to somebody. I see that a lot in my practice. I don't know about you guys and the experience you had with your teenage children, grandchildren, community kids, but we see what's happening with our children. If we can get them to manage their emotions earlier on, I think it would make a big difference. So the first page in the book, this is Charlie, by the way. Charlie is the girl. Charlie's the girl in the book. This is my grandson's character in the book. So this is Cy. His name is Cyrus in real life. But what I wanted to do was have a book that has coping skills that can teach not only the child, but also the parent how to have these hard conversations. So I'm going to zoom in really quickly. If you can see here in the plant, there's a little star down here. Inside of the book, there's going to be multiple stars for the kids to look for, which are actually coping skills. So Cy is a coping skill. The plant, she was feeling bad in class. She was having an emotional moment in class. Her grandma has just passed away, and she got to go to a new school. So she asked could she go water the plant, which is something she and her grandmother used to do together. Okay, so the symbolism and the tools that are inside the book is just to really help have the harder conversations. So this is where the young lady's incorporated in. Charlie finds a little gemstone, okay, reminds her of her grandmother, and then the family help her make it, and they all grieve together. Family, friends, whoever you can grab up that you can pull into that moment with you. This is what this is about, okay? And I'm a family advocate. I'm a family advocate. Now, I understand relationships don't always work. I understand families don't always come together, but my books will be more family based because I think it's important. Y'all see what's out here in the climate out here in the real world right now. Our families are broken. They're not staying together. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of drama. Hello, I wish I had a laugh sound. A lot of drama as well. And we got to be able to pull it back for our young people. It matters for our young people, okay? And so just kind of flipping on through, last page I want to show in this book is that it's okay to cry. Okay, so she's sitting out on the porch, she's minding her business with her dog Sunshine. Dad's looking over, and then all of a sudden she starts to cry. Okay, I have a lady that I met. She's an adult. She purchased this book for herself. Okay, it's literally not just written for kids. I wrote this for adults as well, just to help us to soothe and feel better. So part 2 of that, because it's such a big deal, I wanted to have a follow-up so we can continue the conversation. So I made an activity book, okay, to continue this conversation. Things link up, color sheets that link up, just things to kind of keep everybody inspired and motivated. I'm just going to show a couple of the pages, not really go through it. But we have feeling charts, we have task charts, daily routine, color sheets, enjoy your moments. But the most important sheet in here, I have a few sheets. Like this is for concentration. So this is from the other book. I just showed y'all her making the necklace at the table with her parents. So this is for focus and control. concentration. They can fill in the blank. Everything in here is printable. Just print it, okay? Just print it. But the most important sheet in here is definitely the crisis form, okay? Print everything in here. So when they turn 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, you can use this form. If this happens, then do that. If you go to the store and you lose mama or daddy, go to the next police officer you see. You can create this and have a safety plan in there for your family, and it can change with time, date, birthdays, all the things. My goal is to really give us some tools, have the harder conversations about the things. I'm having a hot flash, y'all forgive me. Um, have the harder conversations about the things that we are going to have to talk about someday. Okay. I share the sentiment of feeling different or feeling isolated or feeling all alone or feeling like people don't get you, don't understand you. It's a very important book, not only for everybody else, it's important for me too. I do have a third book, Size Extraordinary Life, that's grandson. Boys and girls will have different issues. So once I thought, I said, well, it just makes sense for him to have his own series of things. And maybe we'll cover bullying, all the different things. What I want to do right now is just kind of take a moment to do some things that you can use when you're grieving, whether you're grieving a person, a place, a thing, taking a moment to just reflect, stop. Um, so writing, talk about simple writing. I don't say journaling because if I say journal, I'll never make it back. That's just me. But if I say write, I'll have 2, 3 notebooks and have so much information. Just taking the time to emotional. If you're having a rough day, a hard day, just write. Just pull it out. Type it into your phone. Morning I woke up and I feel like what I feel like. Then type it down, write it down. You can always go back. You can always back and look at these things and resource. What was I going through 11, 26, 25 that made me feel like that? Tuning in, having so much awareness of yourself so that you can be functional and move forward. Um, Grief as a functional movement. Let me talk about that just for a second. When we're in grief, our bodies get because we're emotionally worn out. I accept, I get it, but life doesn't stop because you're grieving. Life doesn't stop because you're sick. Work still you still got to work, you still got to pay bills, you still got to do things. So being in awareness enough where you can still pay attention to life while you're grieving. I'm not saying don't grieve, there's no limit on grief. Please grieve as long as you need to grieve, but also being an awareness enough of what are you doing while you're grieving. If 10 years pass, 20 years pass, life's going to keep going regardless if you're engaged in it or not. So that's a message that I want to leave for everyone today. Please grieve. We all are going to have a moment to grieve. We're all going to have a moment where, we feel like, somebody's not there for us, or we've lost a relationship, or our children aren't talking to us, whatever it is. But life's not going to stop because any of those things are happening. Okay. So just being an awareness of that. I want to leave that note because I know we can get stuck and get stagnant. And before we know it, we're not moving at all. Okay. So talking to someone you trust, not everyone, someone you trust. Talking to a professional. I know in my community, sometimes we don't want to talk to anybody about our family problems and taboos and all the things that we've experienced. But they're there. They're not hidden because we don't talk about them. We just cope and function or not function. And then we go out into the world and do those things, okay? Create or make a scrapbook. Get the teens engaged in this. If there's a lost loved one, you know, get some, I have a young man that he has his grandma's driver's license. And he made a scrapbook and he put grandma's driver's license, some pictures, and as time goes along, just add to it. It does, what's their favorite recipe? Put their favorite recipe in there. Um, Not celebrate, yeah, kind of celebrate life. Um, Not to say it's going to make it easier, not to say time is going to be likely the only thing that allows us to breathe some time. So just being mindful that keep moving, talk to someone, make a scrapbook or a notebook, engage the family. We're not grieving alone. There's likely other people that are grieving too, that over that same person. Reach out and connect. Talk to them. It's not easy always to talk about death. Sometimes we'll go out and we'll be around people that we know will remind us of the death, and we don't want to talk about it, right? And so we're like, we'll stay away. Okay, that's fine. Stay away. Stay away as long as you need to. But at some point, you're still gonna have to be functional and do something and get back out there in some form of fashion, in some way, because you need you, your group family needs you, your community likely needs you in some form of fashion as well. So just being mindful of these things. Um, Connecting in a way that allows you to feel and be. You do not have to be perfect. We are not perfect. If people are making you feel bad because you have feelings and emotions, I'm sorry about that, but that's not okay. You're allowed to feel. We have been conditioned to think we are not allowed to feel. And I'm coming to break it up. I'm coming personally and individually to break that up. If I have to do it with tears running down my face, I'll do that. Okay. Um, Take it one moment at a time. One day at a time. We say that. I grew up saying that, but I've reduced it down to one moment at a time as needed. If you need to ground, go walk outside, hug a tree, hug your husband or your wife, go for a run, eat better food, whatever it is, go on a trip, go for a walk. I love road trips. My husband's actually a truck driver, so I'll sometimes get in the truck and I'm gone because the road is going to shake me and make me feel really good. Then I get to see the world at the same time. And so it's just really important that you're in a certain amount of awareness, even if you're in grief. Even if you're in grief. Okay. Anything that anyone has a question about at this exact moment, or I don't know how much time I really have left.
You have about a good 10, 15 minutes because we like to give time for Q&A. So you have a good
Okay. All
10,
right.
15 minutes. Yeah, yeah. 10, 15 minutes. Mm.
Okay. Okay, great. So second part of that. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about book four. Book four is my life story. If you guys can see kind of right here on this, I printed it. And so that's the cover of book four. It's called Timeline. I haven't showed the cover to anybody. I think Miss Angela's kind of the first person and my husband to see it. And it's my life story. But I'm going to take my life story and I'm going to use it as a guide to heal through whatever it is. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's grief and loss. I don't care if it's molestation, whatever incidences, lost friendships, divorce. I'm just going to use my story as a guide to help. It's called Timeline because we're going to create an actual timeline. I had some time that I worked in residential treatment with adult men, and it was the first time working with adult men in this capacity. And the timeline assignment was the first thing that they had to do. They had 4 assignments to complete before they could process out. And the timeline was the most revealing part of allowing these grown men to sit down, write out their story with like a sentence, write it out, and then bring it to group and tell everybody their business, all the things. And it was a substance abuse treatment facility. And as I sat there and I listened to the stories, No wonder you're in treatment. No wonder. And we all have a story, right? We all have whatever story that we grew up with, whatever situations we've endured. And it may be a hard journey, but it's also a beautiful, hard journey. So I had to learn how to embrace the things that were not so great. Embrace my mom and dad arguing and fighting a lot as a child. Well, I didn't think I was gonna see them alive at this age. They're 70 now, y'all. They're 70. But the horror that I felt, the way I used to hide in the closet at night, while they're out there arguing, because I was afraid. And even that part, grieving and understanding how your parents' lives have affected your life. Anger is one of the grief, the 5 griefs, right? Anger. I felt anger. Be honest with your feelings and emotions. I felt anger. Like I had to say to them one day, listen, I didn't ask for this. I understand. I understand, but I was just a child. I didn't ask for this. I sat down and I had the hard conversations with both my parents. I literally sat them down at the table, my table, and video recorded my parents for over an hour to hear the stories that needed to be heard, that I needed to fill in for this book, for my own timeline. I had no memories from 0 to 11. None. So this journey has been a journey of, when I said 10 years, it's been a life journey. But in the last, career-wise, educational-wise, I hosted women's retreats at one point to heal my relationship with women because we have problems too. It's a lot in me. It's a lot. So you guys allow me to come up and share my heart and share my heartfelt emotions. I didn't prep a thing. I'm going on the fly because it's just in me. To be able to sit down with my parents. And if your parents are not here anymore, I do understand. Um, but if you still have parents that are here and you have an opportunity to sit with them and talk to them and find out some stuff, aunties, uncles, cousins, sit down and talk to people. Use your time wisely. We don't know how much time we have, so use it wisely. I've been out here moving. I said to Miss Angela, uh, Pastor Najuma, I said to Angela, I said, Angela, I don't know if I'm gonna give out my social media because I'm a wild child too now. I'm a free spirit. I'm a wild child. I don't know if people. she said, no, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. And I've been judged. I was in church for 20 years. I didn't grow up in the church. I got to the church in my early 20s. I married in the church. I raised my family in the church. And then I exited the church. Not because anything happened, but God led me to do what I'm doing. And people looked me upside my head. They told me, they told the pastor, she's lost her mind. And on the inside of me, I'm saying, no, I gained it. I'm gaining my mind. I'm gained it. Sometimes our messages are different. We're individuals. We're uniquely made. God made us unique. So the more I fought my uniqueness, it was tearing me up on the inside. But as soon as I started to walk and walk in my path, when I tell y'all the doors just kept opening and the rewards and the blessings kept coming, and I was like, God, you just wanted me to listen and be obedient and keep moving. So even this, even crying in front of y'all today, I will be judged by whoever's gonna judge me. I don't care about any of that anymore. He made me this way. So once you embrace yourself, whatever it looks like, can't nobody tell you nothing. As long as God has you, just keep walking and know it's for you. Know it's for you. It ain't been easy, but right now I'm sitting here looking at my books, understanding how many hundreds and hundreds of families in the state of Oklahoma that I've impacted, been in people's houses for years. I know it's always been work. So whatever it is that's holding you back, the things that we're telling ourselves and sending this information into our minds and letting these distractions come in all the time and throw us off our game, today I'm calling. Today I'm calling that out. Calling it out today. Okay. I said earlier there's a lot of mental health in my family. And because people have a mental health condition does not justify bad behavior. It may explain why there's bad behavior, but it doesn't justify being treated any kind of way because you have a mental health condition. Okay. And so understanding, looking up words, getting really clear, defining things, definitely grabbing book 4 because I'm going to break this thing down in a way that it's just almost elementary. Okay. We're overwhelmed. We got a lot of stuff going on. We have social media and all the things inundating us at all times. Learning how to quiet, learning how to just listen to yourself, your thoughts. Is it coming from someone else, something else, coming from self? If you don't know yourself and you don't know who you are and you struggle with your identity, from your past, your history, your traumas, sit down and talk to somebody. Get you a therapist, get you a confidant, a friend, and really start to be serious about your path and your walk. You matter. It matters that you are here. You are valuable and you are important. God made you unique. Okay, there's nobody like you. Whatever your gifts and talents are your gifts and talents. Most people, and I'm sure that there's some people here that have heard, I'm sure there's some people here that have heard of uh, Erickson's stages of development. If you know what Erickson's stages of development are, drop some in the chat and just say yes or no if you know. I just want to know how many people know Erickson's developmental stages. Okay. So for those that don't know, this versus that. That's how I like to first describe it. It's this versus that. So we'll just cover the first. I want to do the first and possibly close to the end of this list before I wrap up. So the first one is trust versus mistrust. I believe it's 0 to 18 months, something around that. In that developmental stage, that child is either going to develop trust or mistrust. If this child is sitting in a crib and they are, I'm going to run down the street to the corner store. And as soon as you close that door, the baby wakes up and they in the crib. They start to cry, few minutes. Okay, now it's been 10 minutes, now it's been 30 minutes, now it's been 50 minutes. That child is going to develop isolation, withdrawal, depression, anxiety, all these attributes in that one moment, and then they have to develop and function the rest of their life. Okay. One of the later stages, I believe it's 65 and up, and I can't recall it off the top of my head, but it's this verse. What it talks about is if by the age of 65, if you have not reached a certain level of success, you're tired from your job and you just haven't reached that level, you're either going to be happy with life or you're going to be bitter and resentful and angry with life. Well, I just turned 50 years old. And I just turned 50. How do we through the wishing we had more time with a loved one? I'm gonna get to that in a second. Will we get to that in just a second? Should I go ahead and answer? Okay. I want to finish
No,
up this last
no.
stage and then I'm going to answer your question.
Can you, can you just
Oh,
please finish what you're
can I go?
talking about?
Uh-huh.
No, no, please finish. It was I was going to have another comment. That one was in the queue, so I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to interrupt.
Okay. No, you're fine.
Yeah,
I appreciate
yeah,
you.
yeah.
So, what I wanted to say though about 65, I just turned 50. It's crazy to me to say in 20 years I'll be 70. I feel all of 21. I might look young, but this skin right here is 50 years old, believe me. Uh, and so in 20 years I'll be 70. So if a person doesn't reach a level of success, happiness, family, the things that we all would call important by the end of life, instead bitterness, resentment, pain, hurt, nastiness. I've seen people in the elder stage that are nasty and mean. I know y'all done seen them. That's that stage in Erickson's development. So literally from birth to death, we are going through these transitional milestone stages. And if we're not paying attention, listen, we're going to arrive at 65 and older. And I just want to put that out kind of as the last mark down in regard to grief and loss. Loss could also not be achieving your goals. And then you reach 65, maybe you don't have enough money, maybe you haven't saved enough money, Social Security may not be there. We've been hearing that for years. It may not be there, and you don't have money to live and survive. I was working at a job, and she was 70, almost 70 or close to 70. She had never been married. She had adult children. One or two kind of lived with her. She had no savings. She was working too many hours at the age she was. The regret that you hear and what you witness people live, it's going to be us if we're not careful. So just pay attention. Be in a certain awareness of your life, your goals. I don't care how old you are, have some goals. If it's a goal to get up and walk down the street to the end of your street, have a goal. Um, any questions? I think that's a good time to kind of open up. There's a few people here, so I want to make sure to have enough time to answer questions.
Yes. Hey, so there's a couple of questions in the chat. I think Tyrone had one that said, how do we work through wishing we had more time with a loved one who has passed?
I accept. How do you work through? Let me go in here for just a second because I want to make sure I'm reading and understanding your question properly.
So the question is, when we say to ourselves, "Oh, I wish I had more time," how do we work through that part of grieving?
Is that person already passed away or are they still here and present?
But they passed away. That was
They
his.
have passed away. How do we work through when we're saying, how do we have more time? Or you didn't get enough time?
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. So that means that you're doing guilt and shame, possibly. Possibly you're guilting yourself. Possibly you're shaming yourself because you were not more present with time. Interesting, right? Because as a child, there's no scope of time or consequence as we're children, right? A lot of times I think back to when we're young. I do it a lot because if we're on to somebody or on to a child and they're acting up, but we forgot that we used to act up or we forgot the things that we used to do. Well, when you were a child, there wasn't a scope of time. So if you're going to guilt yourself or shame yourself, again, that's a God thing. We don't have control over that. Time is going to be what time is. And if you choose to guilt and shame yourself for it, understand you're just guilting and shaming yourself for it. You couldn't have stopped it. You're not in control of it. So coming to terms or a certain awareness that you wasn't in control of any of those things. Who knows what the time is going to be? It's those are the things that mess with your mind, play with your mind, because you don't have any control over that. So in therapy, if we were in therapy, I would literally break that thing down, kind of like what I just did. Well, that doesn't really, and y'all forgive me because I'm not coming for anybody. It doesn't make sense because you don't know the time. None of us know the time. That's the reality. But what we'll do is we'll guilt and shame ourselves instead. Does that make sense? And I don't know if it answered the question. That's how I would handle that for my own clarity. Thank you so much, Kimi McLean, for your. Don't be guilting yourself over there now. Anybody else have any questions or a second question?
I don't know if I have so much a question. I appreciate when as you were opening up talking about the children's book, because I know when my oldest son's life was taken, I had my two children and my grandchildren to walk them through. At the time, my youngest daughter and my grandchildren were only 4, and my middle son was 9. And it was very challenging time for me because I didn't know what to say, how to say it. And so when you talk about, and I also wasn't sure how they would receive it, they did way better than I could have imagined. But when you talk about teaching children early about grief and loss, I grew up, which a lot of people was like, these aren't things that you talk about in front of kids. So I was hesitant. I didn't know how to, I mean, I didn't have a choice, but I just am resonating with your thought that that we can have these conversations younger with children and not waiting until they're teenagers. And that my experience was they managed it way better than I expected. And so I would agree with you that we probably should start having these conversations with our children younger and not shielding them from what we think is too much for them to handle. But it's all in how we handle the conversation. And so
That's what
I,
I was
I
about to
definitely am
say.
going to get your book just so I have it and share with them, but also with other people. But I just thought you're the first person I've heard to say that. But I resonate with that because my young children did way better. And I like how you have in your book, you have focal points like the star. I have my kids focus on 2 things, butterflies and stars in the sky, to identify my grandchildren, their father, and for my children, their sibling, their brother.
Wow.
And so,
I love that.
yes, I'll definitely be getting your book, but I resonate with that, yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, Pastor Najima, because that's what I heard the most. I wish I would have had a book like this. Not to say there's other books out there. I've seen them. I've Googled them. I know there's other grief and loss books, but I'm just gonna say I'm different, and it's my time to rise and come on up in here and start stuff. Um, the fact that your children handled it well likely speaks a lot of you in your family unit or what that looks like. Um, there's a lot of children that don't fare it well, and the parents and adults don't fare well either. And so then those children are also watching those parents. Um, and it's a hard thing to, if you can wrap your mind around, if we can just teach what needs to be taught around grief and loss. Yes, we gotta go, y'all. I don't think there's an easy way to say that ever, right? There's no easy way to say that. But one day we're gonna go to heaven, one day we're not gonna go. There's no way to say that. If we can get over that hill of just saying that, then we can work on the coping skills around it. The problem is that we're not even talking or having the conversation at all.
Thank you so much. And to Pastor Najuma's point as well, my children both lost their father. Jasmine must have been 10 or 11, and Jason was 6. And we did have a book. It was called When Dinosaurs Die, right?
Okay,
So this
I
was a
remember.
book about dinosaurs dying. But I love your book because we get to see us. We get to see little boys like Jason and little girl like Jasmine. So when I saw your book, that's what it brought all that up for me. That's been so many years ago. But I didn't
It
have it, yeah, the concept was there about the grief and loss, but it was a dinosaur.
got
But
it.
I get to see my kids on this book and my grandkids if and when, we have to have those tough conversations. But I was thankful, nevertheless, to have something, and that's, I'm more thankful to have you Sharika, in this conversation today.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just I wanted to also highlight the family interviews because I'm an intergenerational curse breaker, trauma destroyer in my family, so it's going down. And so I had to do like you and have those interviews. And in my mom's passing, in her grief, the writing, you talked about that. My mom was a writer. I was able to I found one of her journals, and I thank God that she was a writer because I found that years after her passing. And I had that to use for my own trauma timeline to get in our interview. And so even if your relatives or loved ones have passed, interviewing, and now I get to interview her sisters and aunties and friends and say, hey, what was my mom like during this time? And so recording like you did with your parents. So I love how you brought that up and highlighted that.
And let me just speak
And
on that. It,
and we need
I
the
have,
link for the books. I'm sorry, they're asking for the links in the books before people have to log off.
yes.
Um, if you can drop the Amazon link.
My husband's gonna drop it in there real quick.
Thank you, husband.
He's smiling. And so, what you just said as far as representation, when I did this book, the young lady that I talked about, this is Charlie and this is grandson. This is just the image that I made that's what I felt like she looked like. And it's interesting because every time I hand out, because sometimes I give out books for free when I'm walking around at the grocery store and I see I'm just handing them out. So your support for me literally is also helping me just give them out for free too, because we just need them in our hands. If they're sitting on my shelf and the kids are not reading them and the families are, it doesn't matter to me. It's not about that. I need to get them in hands. Now I do want to make some money, but I need to get them into the kids' hands more than anything. And so even when I have a Caucasian baby's hand, they can relate. Our baby's hands can relate. Indian babies. I was in on the truck stop out on the road with my husband, and there was like a Indian family. This baby looked like that baby too. I was just like, it can look like all of a baby's, right? And so when I did the book, I didn't even realize that, Angela, that representation. It wasn't until my nephew said, ain't he? And he has two twin boys, and they're like 4 or 5 years old. And he says, 80 representation. And I was like, oh, you're right. Because we work with everybody. I just wasn't thinking that. But I'm thankful for that part of it as well. I'm also thankful, like you talked about the parents and being able to have the ability to sit down with them and talk to them. If you can't sit down with your person that you've lost, whether they're just out of pocket and you don't talk to them anymore, or they've passed away, there's things in therapy, open chair, writing a letter to them, things that you can do, to fill in those voids. It may not give you everything perfectly that you think that you need, right? But as much as you can get, as much information you can get, just get what you can get. It's about the information. And then if we got some information, we can make some moves.
There are a few people on the line that I know who've lost parents, and you kind of touched upon that a little bit, about losing a parent, and dealing with that form of grief. Um, and they may be, just trying to figure out how to get through this holiday season and or get through life, period. I know you talk about open share and letter
So
writing.
both of my parents are still living. Both of mine are still living. My husband's parents are both deceased. So even us being married to each other, that aspect of that, of never getting a chance. I actually met his dad before I met him one time, but he was probably in his 70s at that point. Learning that dynamic. 60s, babe. And his dad died at 60, okay? And mom was at 45. Mom died at 49. Okay. And so here my parents, both my parents are in their 70s. I almost don't want to speak on it. It's weird to call him to speak on it. Can he say a couple words about it? Come here, husband.
Absolutely,
Because
yes.
I don't want to answer for, because I'm gonna, in therapy, we're gonna talk about it in a therapeutic setting, but it just makes more sense to have somebody speaking directly from
Absolutely. We'd
that
love to hear from him.
experience.
Absolutely. Just some, and it doesn't have, I don't, we don't want to take up all his time, but maybe just a couple of thoughts.
He about to cook some Thanksgiving
You about to
food.
take over? Husband about to
So
take
this is my
over?
husband.
Hey, husband.
Yeah, he's the chef in our house.
Well, me, there was a lot going on at the time of my mother's passing. So my mother and father had just got divorced. I was here in Oklahoma. My mother had moved to Jacksonville, Florida. My dad was still here in Oklahoma City, but we weren't talking. And it was a lot. And the thing is that I was 23, 20, yeah, like 23, and I'm left to take care of my mother's estate. She was like a colonel in the Air Force. I had to plan two funerals, one in Florida, one in Oklahoma, and I didn't have time to grieve at the time because I was so busy occupied making sure everyone was okay. And then it took me like maybe 2 or 3 months, and I was watching a movie because that was one of our things, and I think that triggered me to actually, because I never cried
Mm,
for that whole time. And it just like was watching a movie, and that's something we would do, and then boom, it hit me to where I just like fell out, big old dude falling out on the floor, oh Lord,
Because he a big
because
dude.
and I'm just like I never had the time to grieve, and my mother was young, and then a few years later, me and my dad reconnected, started back talking again, and then it came, I actually had that moment to where like, I kind of regretted the time we missed, during our fallout, but I learned to embrace the time we had. And he died fairly young as well. But
Have you worked through it?
I mean, for a long time, I masked it. Um, I actually, like I used to do a lot of things to take my mind off of it. Some people do this, do that. My thing was like have a beer every other night, have a glass of wine every other night. I mean, really, this year, until I took the time to say, hey, I'm not going to feel like this anymore,
mhm.
uh, work through it. I mean, I quit doing everything and quit hiding from my problems and just went towards everything directly. I went to visit both of their grave sites and just said what I had to go say. Uh, and I just said, I see you in this next life, and we'll go ahead and talk about it now, but I got to start living this one. And I was listening to the last one. So, it's because sometimes you can feel alone, but they're still here with me because I got memories and got family to celebrate with me now. So, um, it's rough, especially when you're young in your 20s.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you can, kind of jealous that, like, here I'm 47 and my wife's 50 and fabulous, by the way. And, and, both parents still here, can pick up the phone. You got issues, can call up your parents, say, hey, but that's not the role for me. I mean, like, I've got older children now to where, like, my son's moved out into his own apartment and moved in with his girlfriend. And I'm just like, okay, so now I got to do that dad stuff. So I got to be prepared to answer those questions. So I
Right.
could just say, hey, for me. So
Right.
those are ways that you can connect with, your parents that have passed away because they've instilled a lot in me. And I find myself now like, oh my gosh, I'm acting like my father. So it can be rough, especially around this time. I really find myself doing the things that they were doing. Like my dad was the one mostly cooking during Thanksgiving, and here I am, gonna
Yeah, I
go
don't
wrestle a
think so.
turkey. And trying to get the house ready for everybody. It's like you do the things that they instilled in you. So they're still here. It's just your job to do the work to actually deal with the fact that they're no longer here and just cherish the moments that they put in you while they were here.
Thank you so very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. That was
No
beautiful. Thank you
problem.
both. Yeah.
Thank y'all. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
so
baby.
Any other questions before we wrap up? Any other questions? We
Yeah,
didn't want to. Oh, go
yes.
ahead.
In the interest of time and not to hog everything, you mentioned something about family members grieving too, but also family members acting out during the holidays that they don't have a right to do that. So while we can't control their actions, can we just give one step of how to manage ourselves through that? Thank you.
Absolutely. I can give you a bunch of steps. Mr. Timmy McLean, I'll give you a few steps. So when I talk about mental health, I'm going to speak about my mother just for a second. My mother likely, and I've talked to her about this. I've told her this. So I'm not telling y'all anything I haven't said to my mother. And I love my mother. She's been here my whole life. She was here this morning. She rolled up in the driveway. I was like, what? Here? But this is what she does. So she'll show up, she'll garden, and be gone. And I'll come outside like, wow, everything looks great. But the mental health in my family is really, really thick. And she'll likely never have any medication. She'll likely never take that route. And so sometimes we have problems. It is just what it is. Because again, even just because we have mental health doesn't mean we can inflict it on people, right? So boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. I will scream them to the rooftop. Um, with my mother specifically, sometimes I have to say, I can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't do it with you. I love you, but I can't do it. One day she was out here mowing my yard, y'all. She'll mow the grass at 70. Cut the cord that's in my grass. There's a light out there, and she rolled over the cord. Mama, sometimes just firm boundaries. So now when she comes, I got it. I got it. I can cut my grass. If my husband's on the road, I'll cut the grass. I can dump my own trash. She came over one day this week and said, I need some coffee. Need some coffee? Okay, I'll make you some coffee. So I'll make her some coffee. While I'm making the coffee, the glass falls off the shelf, glass everywhere. So I breathe, deep breathe, Mr. McLean. Lots of breathing, lots of quiet time. Normally I have sounds playing in the background. I do a lot of music therapy. So I keep sounds in the background. Reiki healing sounds. I also do Reiki healing. I'm a certified Reiki healer. So I do healing sounds and chimes, and I play little drums. I just got that piano I just told y'all about. I'm so excited. That's going to be a part of my mental health. That's going to be a part of my balance and release. Just because they born us here doesn't mean they have complete control of our lives the rest of our life. The same with us as parents. We have children. Just because we had them does not mean we are to control them the rest of their lives. We all are individuals. Once we've done our work, we're supposed to woosah a little bit and let people be. But that ain't what we do as humans. We try to come in and over control and take on the narratives. And what I'm saying is just set some boundaries. Be real with yourself. We all have to be functional out here. If it's too much stress and craziness around that situation, are you allowed to be functional? Can you really be as functional as you would be if things are balanced and good? Asking yourself real questions opposed to just being emotional about it. No, let's add some rationality to the emotion. Great question.
those good. Those are good. Yeah, good,
Great questions,
coping
everybody.
skills.
Absolutely. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. I'm shouting them now.
Thank you so much, sis, and we appreciate you. And we're definitely going to support your book. We have the link to order. We are promoting, not supporting Amazon during this season. We're part of our church and part of the "We're Not Buying It" campaign. So we
It's
want to.
okay.
So we're going to order
I can
directly.
ship it.
So your husband
Mhm.
gave us,
I have her email.
yeah. So your
Yeah,
husband gave
I can
us,
ship it to you.
Yeah, so the husband, he put it in the chat for us to email and order directly from you.
Okay.
As we trying to send a message to Amazon and everybody else, but we're gonna order directly from
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate that. I appreciate, and and I understand and I do get it, and when we ban certain platforms and certain stores and all the things, but I'm 100% business owner. If I don't make no money, I ain't gonna be able to eat.
Right,
So
so that's why we want to order from you
I
directly.
understand.
That's why we want to order from you
Yeah.
directly, so you get as
Wait
much,
no more
all of
comments to
your
come in,
money.
but
Yeah, so you get all of your,
absolutely.
yeah. But thank you for
Show you
today.
guys. Thank
Angela,
you.
thank you. We'll let you close us out. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Sharika. I know everyone was blessed, encouraged, inspired for having you here. I know I was. I learned a little bit more about you, and I'm so excited about book number 4 and just how, the Lord is using you individually. I love what you said, individually. So, yeah, I'm just excited. And for those of you that are here, stay tuned. We have a paint and sip. Those that are locally, we have a paint and sip coming up for Hope and
Oh,
Healing in a few weeks. So be on the lookout for that information. And if Sharika, if you want to fly on out, y'all can make it here. If not, I'll
I
see you.
literally just I
I'll
literally just pulled up a ticket. I think a Southwest ticket that said like 140 or 70 or 400. I was like, that is so cheap.
Yeah, well, come on. But if not, I'll see you in Oklahoma sometime in the next few weeks. But thank you all for
Okay.
being here. I think everybody on here. If not, Pastor, you want to put the survey and the link really fast?
Uh,
Um,
we're good. We're gonna.
Okay, we're good. Okay. Well, please do not be a stranger, Sharika, and we will not be a strangers in supporting you. And everyone have a beautiful, wonderful time with family, whatever you decide to do, or friends, or yeah, go
We just
ahead.
set new
One thing,
boundaries.
those boundaries, guys. One thing, I know we may not be doing the full Amazon thing, but if you can at least follow me on there, and they will send out emails when books come out. So at
Awesome.
least you know
Oh,
something's out, and then
We
you
will
can
do that.
then you can email me and I'll send it to you.
Wonderful. We will
okay.
do that.
Absolutely. For sure.
Thank y'all
All
so
right.
very much. Great job, everybody. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. We love you, and you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
So, yes, everyone have a safe Thanksgiving holiday weekend, whatever you choose to do, whoever you choose to spend it with. Remember to set those boundaries and use those tools. And we will see you on our next Hope and Healing Lunch and Learn.
Thank
Bye,
you, everyone.
everybody.
Blessings. Bye bye. Have
Bye.
a blessed week. Thank you.
Bye.